Kansas lawmakers are out of the State House after passing a slew of bills just a governor's signature away from becoming law. But other bills are falling to the wayside. You're taking a look inside Kansas politics. Welcome in. I'm Rebecca Chung. Today we're breaking down what passed, what didn't, and what's next. We've got a lot to cover. And joining me today is political analyst Bob Beatty. All right, Bob, first up, we've got that mega tax package that passed. Would move the state to a two-rate income tax. Now, it would get rid of the bottom bracket. It also drops the top two brackets by 0.15%. So the top bracket would drop from 5.7 to 5.55%. And then the middle bracket would drop from 5.25% to 5.15%. Also, it raises the personal exemption, which was a big selling point for Senate negotiators. But the biggest question right now is, will the governor agree with the plan? She's looking for something sustainable. I spoke with an economist to get his take. So tell me, is it sustainable like they say it is?
Looking at the last surplus numbers that the governor's office put out there, it looks like, given the cost of that package, it probably is sustainable. In the short run, it's definitely sustainable. The big question is what happens if you have a decline in revenue. So income tax base is pretty volatile. Property tax is very stable. Sales tax is a little more volatile than the property tax. So in the short run, it's definitely sustainable. The question is what happens if you experience a 5 or an 8% decrease in income tax revenues. Then are you getting closer to the point where you can't quite, you're going to have to dip into the rainy day fund. The numbers I looked at, it looks like if you had an 8%, 9% decline in income tax revenues, you may have to get to the point where you'd have to dip into that rainy day fund. But over the long run, it seems like it's kind of in that sustainable range.
So give me a bit of an example of what people can expect. Talk about low income bracket to middle income to high income.
Somebody making about $20,000 a year will see their taxes go down by about $70. Somebody making $50,000 a year will see their taxes go down by about $180. So that's kind of the dollar amount that you would see. Somebody making a higher income, like $100,000 a year, would see their taxes go down by about $165. And that would be for an individual person.
All right, a little savings there. This bill also includes property tax cuts, eliminating income taxes for Social Security. He says that's the next area where we'd see the biggest difference. And then it also speeds up axing the state food sales tax to July 1st. That's what the governor wanted. So, Bob, what's your take? Is this a bill that could withstand a veto from the governor?
Well, my first take is that Kansas overall has had a bit of trouble really trying to give the surplus money back to the taxpayers. This has been going on since 2022. People may remember the governor running for re-election on the idea of axing the food tax, and even then only a phased food sales tax cut went into place, and the legislature and the governor have been grappling over really what to cut in order to get some of that money back into taxpayers' pockets. And so this session, of course, the Republican majority really, I'm going to say it a couple more times, really wanted a flat tax. And right now Kansas has those three tax tiers. And the governor really did not want a flat tax. And the argument was over a number of things, but mainly over how much this is going to cost. And to Professor Burns' point, you know, what happens if there's a downturn over the years? You know, and what people tend to do is to predict outward about how's it going now. Mm-hmm. That's why the stock market, people get into the stock market and say it's always going up. Well, it doesn't always go up. And so we went through COVID, we've been through recessions. So Governor Kelly is a bit on the conservative side in the sense of she doesn't want massive tax cuts that she thinks are too much because she does fear something could happen down the road. So one of the biggest complaints that Governor Kelly has about this new bill is the cost. And it's been, you know, sort of projected to cost on average upwards of close to $500 million a year less, meaning that much less could be coming out of state coffers. And she sort of set a cap at $425 million a year. So she very well could veto it. The House probably would override her veto. The question is the Senate. you know, from the numbers, it's possible they'd override it. One reason is they may not want a special session because she's bound and determined to cut taxes, and if this does not pass, she may call a special session and say, we need to find something that cuts people's taxes.
All right, Bob, thank you so much. Well,
Yeah.
we're going to be continuing our conversation after the break. And abortion is our next topic. What's next also for a bill banning gender-affirming care for minors? We'll be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
Crown Toyota, celebrating 30 years of quality service.
See what sets us apart.
Come experience.
Come experience.
Come experience the Crown difference.
Get up to $1,500 customer cash or 2.25% for 48 months on a Tundra. RAV4 models now 4.75% for up to 60 months. Go electric in a BZ4X for just 1.99% for up to 72 months. The all-new Tacoma is here. Visit Crown Toyota, 3400 South Iowa, Lawrence, Kansas.
You've been waiting to find out if siding is affordable for you? Don't wait any longer. It's our Seams on the Back of the House sale. Click or call now.
If you're looking to improve your days, focus on your nights. At the Love My Lebeda mattress sale, flippable pillow plush queen sets start at only $4.79. You'll love our mattress sets with cool gel memory foam now from $5.99 with free delivery or a free bed frame. Experience Talalay latex for amazing tension relief and muscle relaxation, or try an adjustable bed with power base for the ultimate sleep experience. Plus, take 4 years to pay. Find the mattress you'll love at Lebeda Mattress Factory's Love My Lebeda mattress sale.
Normal. We're all trying to get back to it together. But what if there were a new normal? One where everyone recognized how much we need everyone else and how much we need everyone to be healthy. At Grace Med, that's our hope. That's why we provide a medical home in 16 locations with a wide range of healthcare services for everyone, regardless of their ability to pay. It's also why we deliver care when and where it's needed most. Because we're Grace Med, the home of hope care for everyone.
Ladyfingers Automotive. Family-owned auto repair with hands that understand your vehicle. Quality repairs done at an affordable cost. When you're in need of service, repair, or towing, remember Ladyfingers Automotive.
Don't miss Almost Kiss at the historic Columbian Theater in Wamego.
All right, welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. I'm Rebecca Chung. A set of controversial bills are stirring a debate over abortion at the State House. And that's what we're talking about next, Bob. One bill would make it a crime to coerce someone into getting an abortion, and then the other would require doctors to ask patients why they're getting an abortion. Both are getting backlash from Democrats at the State House. But Bob, let's talk about what impact these bills can have, and can they survive a potential veto?
Well, that's the question we seem to have today is can some of these bills survive a veto? But let's start with the bills. So first of all, there was an attempt in this session for a ban on abortion. That failed. A number of states have been playing around with that idea, but we always have to keep in mind that Kansans voted on this issue and overwhelmingly voted, at least the signal from their vote was that they did not want abortion, the legislature to get rid of abortion. So what we're seeing is these bills that don't go after abortion per se, like banning it, but a lot more adding regulations. And Kansas has a large number of regulations regarding abortions. The coercion bill caused a lot of debate because it's really that idea of what do words mean? What does the bill mean? What does coercion mean? So the opponents of the bill, for example, argued, well, what if a spouse threatened they were going to divorce someone who wasn't getting an abortion? Is that coercion? And how far does it go? So opponents were not happy with really the definitions, whereas the proponents argued this was really something that could be very useful in terms of trafficking, actually, and they brought up the sex trafficking issue in which possibly some people could be forced criminally to have abortions. So the question of whether the governor will veto it, very possible. At this point, again, the numbers are very, very close. They look like there's enough to override a veto, but it's an election year, and abortion is now shifted in Kansas. That used to be we would say, oh, you want to be very strongly anti-abortion. in an election year, but after the constitutional amendment vote, actually that's not true. We're seeing some things in Arizona that are Democrats are thinking that's helping them now, that there's too much emphasis on abortion. So that's one that possibly, if Governor Kelly vetoed it, it could be sustained.
And do you have the numbers on each, the breakdown?
I don't have it on that one. I have it on other bills, but
oh,
not
gotcha.
on that one.
Okay,
Yeah.
but still pretty close. They could potentially override.
Yes.
Okay. Moving on to another bill that passed. It's a ban on gender-affirming care for minors. Can this bill withstand a veto? And what would happen if it becomes law, Bob?
Well, I think, trying not to read the tea leaves too much in terms of what the governor will or will not do, but I would guess that the Governor Kelly is going to veto that bill. And, again, this is a very difficult one in the sense that actually some polls show that majorities of Kansans, in contrast to abortion, don't quite have settled opinions on the issues surrounding gender-affirming care, especially with minors. And of course, that's what this concerns. So again, I think it's possible that a veto could be overridden on this one as well.
Okay, numbers are close enough, you're saying?
Yeah.
All right, Bob, well, we got so much more to get into, everything from election changes to blocking plastic bag bans. This is just the beginning. We'll be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
Need help posting a bond? 75 Bail Bonds has experience with the courts and knows how to work to your benefit. We offer fast, affordable, and convenient service. Call 75 Bail Bonds, your 24-hour bond service.
Spring into savings all month long at Vanderbilt's. Save 50% off Pacific Crest Pocket heavyweight tees. Great assortment of colors. New styles for spring? Stop by and see our new Hey Dude styles. Save up to $35. Thorogood wedge boots. Your choice, $214.99. Save up to $55 on Wolverine I-90 work boots. Your choice, $119.99.
Your work boots center, Vanderbilt.
Man, what's up? Yeah, I was just listening to that song that we were working on. Check this out. Doesn't that sound sweet, man? Yeah, so what time should I come over tonight? 7:30?
We ditch the distractions and pay attention in work zones. And you should too.
Brought to you by this station and the Kansas Department of Transportation.
From the stories you should know.
They just ripped the ATM out of the wall.
Up in a Black Hawk helicopter.
To the stories you need to know.
Mattresses can turn into flying missiles.
From the stories that change the way you think.
Were you trying to rip me off? I think it's down there.
To the stories that affect the way you feel.
It's one big party.
Inside Edition.
These are the stories that impact your life.
Weekdays at 2 on 27 KSNT. Get your local news first on Fox 43 News at 9. Local news, weather, and sports. Every night at 9. It's your local news an hour earlier. Fox 43 News at 9. First on Fox.
Well, welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. I'm Rebecca Chung. What other bills passed this year? That's what we're talking about next. Now, Bob, let's get into it. One bill would make some changes when it comes to advance voting, so let's talk about that one first.
Sure.
Now, this would go into effect next year if it becomes law. As for the changes it would make for advance ballot envelopes, the bill would add a signature block for the person, if any, who is authorized by the advance voter to deliver the advance voting ballot to the county election office. It also adds a designated block for the person who is authorized by the advance voter to deliver the advance voting ballot to the county election office to print such person's full name. I'm just reading off what they have in the supplementary note. And it also bans the transmission or delivery of more than 10 advance voting ballots by any one person. So this is one of the key features there. Bob, this one could be a tough one to override on the House side at least.
Yeah, elections, ever since 2020, we've been talking about this a lot. There's been a group of people that just worry that any ballots that are mailed in, that are done through early voting, that put in drop boxes, that they're suspect. And that essentially any ballots that aren't by somebody walking up on election day and actually doing it there and voting at that very second. Also, a lot of people don't trust the electronic machines, so a lot of distrust going on. So that being said, this year, several bills actually didn't get passed. For example, banning the 3-day waiting period for ballots to come, mail-in ballots to come in, after the election. Right. That did not get passed. It came really close, but it did not get passed. There was actually a bill in this session to make all votes same day in person. So that would get rid of all mail ballots, all absentee ballots, something like that. So, in terms of this bill, it's a tweak, as you mentioned. It's having people sign who are helping people vote to try to get out of, being able to track who's doing this, to limit those absentee ballots if somebody's helping a group, for example, at a nursing home or something of that nature. Relatively minor. I think one big problem with this bill in terms of what the governor may see is that it cleaned up tried to clarify some of the language from a 2021 bill that made impersonating an election official a crime. Now, some people may say, well, that should be a crime. You shouldn't be able to impersonate an election official. Well, a lot of groups argued that the way the bill was written, you could be doing a voter registration drive and someone could accuse you of looking like you're impersonating an election official and call the police. So a lot of voter advocacy groups just want that bill done. It's tied up in the courts. I could see the governor vetoing this entire bill because of this unhappiness over the 2021 law.
All right, there's another bill that would block plastic bans, like the ban on plastic bags now being enforced in Lawrence. So could this withstand a veto from the governor? So
again, I'm not going to predict ever exactly what the governor will do. I would certainly think she's going to veto this. And really, some Republicans, might agree with the governor on this one because it involves home rule. So in this case, the city of Lawrence has banned plastic bags. And there's not just Democrats, but some Republicans that would say, well, that's the right, that's home rule. If a city wants to do something like that, they should be able to. So in the House, the vote for this not allowing cities to ban plastic bags was 72 to 51. Keep in mind that to override a gubernatorial veto, they'll need 84 votes. They only got 72 when it was passed. So that's, might be tough to override her veto if she does it. Thanks.
All right, Bob, thank you so much. We're talking about what's left for lawmakers when they return. That's coming up next. We'll be right back. You're watching Inside Kansas Politics.
Have you ever seen gas station pizza do this or this? Well, now you have. Buy one large single-topping pizza, get the second 50% off, only at Casey's.
Hi, folks. Rodney Robertson with Window Design and Remodeling. All of our decks and rooms are custom built and designed to your specific lifestyle and needs. We can also create more living space below your deck with our underdeck system. Let us make your dream become a reality. Call today or visit our website. We are your home remodeling specialist.
Car accident? If you're thinking of handling your own injury claim, here's a great do-it-yourself tip.
Don't. If things go wrong, you pay the price.
You can get in over your head with the insurance company, costing yourself more time and more money in the long run.
After an accident, don't do it yourself.
Call us at Devon James and get it right the first time. Car accident? Devon James wins. Call 888-8888.
To students who haven't filled out the FAFSA yet, I would say do it immediately.
The sooner the better. It helps you just prepare more in the long run.
Everyone should file the FAFSA.
If you need help submitting the FAFSA, no matter your educational choice, please contact our financial aid office and one of our caring staff members will guide you through the process.
Spring is in the air, and so are the Better Bed savings. Save with Tempur-Pedic and find our biggest closeout event ever with savings up to 50% off while supplies last. Spring into spring and save big, only at the Mattress Hub.
Welcome back to Inside Kansas Politics. I'm Rebecca Chung. Before we go, let's talk about what's left for lawmakers when they return to the State House. Bob, a big one here, education funding. Yeah, lawmakers finally reached a deal in the final hours before adjourning, but now they have to bring it to the floor when they get back. So public education advocates are calling the new plan a compromise. It would earmark $75 million for special education, and it fully funds schools, setting aside $528 million for the base budget. And here's what they had to say.
While there are pieces of this bill that are a compromise, we have agreed to the compromise to try to serve the best interests of Kansas public schools.
There's an at-risk pilot that's also in it that we'll be working with 10 school districts across the state to put at-risk, to help support at-risk kids.
Now, lawmakers are expected to take it up when they return later this month. So, Bob, what's your take on the final plan coming out here?
Yeah, there's some things going on here outside of just this bill, and the first is that last year there was a big push for school choice, which is vouchers or money for private schools. That was very contentious, and that didn't end up happening to any great extent this session. So that means, even though you're right, $528 million, a lot of money. So relatively smooth discussions, to get this bill ready to go. I'd probably say the governor would like to see more money for special education, yeah. But those key words, those key two words, well, I apologize, is there a dash in between? But the two words are fully funded, and that schools are fully funded. And many viewers out there that have been following Kansas politics for many years, those two words were not said for a number of years, fully funded. It took court cases, to years and years of court cases to get to the point where schools are fully funded. So, relatively quiet, but also, we saw in the clips, people generally happy to have the schools fully funded, and yet more money for special ed. Some people would want that, but there is $75 million.
Yeah. Well, another bill that didn't get through but could see new life when lawmakers return is property tax relief for veterans. Now, it would provide property tax relief for disabled veterans, and they would get property tax exemptions based on their disability level. But according to Republican Representative Pat Proctor, who's trying to make this push to get it through, it was bundled with some other bills that lawmakers didn't like.
They also packaged it with this sort of sweetheart package of property tax relief for gyms and big box stores. And so it barely passed through the Senate because the Senate didn't like the stuff it had been packaged with. And then when it got to the House sent it back to conference committee.
Now, Proctor says there's only 2 days left to bring this bill back to the floor. He says lawmakers will come back on the 26th and 27th, and he's hoping to get this bill back into a conference committee to get all the, quote, bad stuff out of it first. So if lawmakers don't take it up again, then he says it will be dead this session. So, Bob, let's talk a little bit more about this bill and what it's bundled with. He's mentioning tax breaks for gyms.
Yeah, this has been around for a few years. The infamous bundling. So obviously, for those who aren't familiar with that, that's where you take several bills that may not have a lot to do with each other, and you put them all in one bill, and if one's maybe less popular and may not get passed, you put it in with a popular one. So the veterans, the bill for property tax relief for the veterans, it's been done in other states. There's a number of people that are very pleased to see that bill, but then it's been put with a bill that is very contentious, which is this idea of private gyms getting tax breaks because they argue they're competing against basically the YMCA, which is nonprofit. And this has just been an argument that's been going on for several years. There's also some tax breaks for big box stores, billion-dollar companies. And so on the one hand, we've got, disabled veterans trying to get a tax break, and then a Walmart, So there's some pretty upset people. Representative Patrick Penn, a Wichita Republican, said on the floor, quote, "I stand before you disillusioned and incredulous and angry," unquote. They're just upset that they can't just get a straight vote on the veterans bill. So there's going to be likely discussion, or at least an attempt to try to get that bill pulled out when the legislators come back. We'll have to see if that happens.
There's going to be a lot of people disappointed if it's not.
Yes, very disappointed, and already, as Patrick Penn's comments show, very upset.
Right, we're hearing about it here too. Well, before we go, what else do you think will come up when lawmakers return?
Well, it wouldn't be a show, Rebecca, if we didn't talk about Medicaid expansion or marijuana. You know, yes, I know people think, oh, Beatty, you're talking about this stuff too much. That's because every year it comes up and it's contentious, so we have to talk about it. So this session, there's going to be one last attempt when legislators come back to pull both medical marijuana and Medicaid expansion out of the committees where they're languishing, maybe forever, pull them out of the committee for a vote. So there has to be a vote to pull them out. And possibly, likely, who knows, that vote will fail, but that will put legislators on record. It's an election year. So, you know, if people want to campaign on that issue, they would, and they had an opponent who voted yes or no on that, they'll have a vote. So we'll keep our eye on that, but there's going to be attempts to pull medical marijuana and Medicaid expansion out of committees and try to get them into the full legislature.
All right, we'll have to see what happens, Bob. Thank you so much. And that was your look inside Kansas politics. If you want to keep up to date on all things Kansas politics, then follow us on social media. Follow us on X at @InKSPolitics and on Facebook. Just search Inside Kansas Politics. We'll also post the full video on YouTube. Just search KSNT News and check ksnt.com/inside-kansas-politics for past episodes. If you have a story you want Kansas State legislators to hear or topics you think we should cover, let us know. You can email us at ikp@ksnt.com. We'll see you right here, same time, same place. Have a good day.